Hello, everyone. It's Religious Fanboy here again, and today we will be discussing the Christian lessons and themes of episode 12 of Kino's journey. The lesson video, the passage of scripture for this lesson video is from 1 Corinthians chapter 8 and verses 9, and it is verses 9 through 11. It says, "But take care that this right of yours does not somehow become a stumbling block to the weak. For if anyone sees you who have knowledge eating in an idol's temple, will he not be encouraged? If his conscience is weak to food offered to idols, and so by your knowledge this weak person is destroyed, the brother of Christ, and so by your knowledge this weak person destroyed the brother for whom Christ died." To give some scriptural context, the book of First Corinthians is thought to be one of the letters or series of letters written by Paul to a Christian church in Corinth. And the main issue that he was writing about is the idea of freedom in God. And this was a concept that had been heard by and adopted by these Christians in Corinth, but they had misunderstood it and led to them not only tolerating sin but glorifying sin. There were some cases, such as an example culturally was, and is referenced specifically, is eating of food sacrificed to idols. There was also issues with a preacher having an affair with his mother-in-law. It's gross. And now I'm gonna move on to the episode analysis. The episode involves Kino while traveling. She is confronted by a herd of murderous sheep. After killing the sheep, Kino is told that they were bred for fight. And th- this leads to our talking points. And like we've done before in the past, our talking points are quotes from the passage of scripture we have read. My first talking point, quote, is, "But take care that this right of yours does not somehow become a stumbling block to the weak." The first talking point, like the first, this pertains to the responsibility of leadership. Leaders at any level are required and are accountable to for having the best interest of those they lead. And I say at any level because there are times such as I for myself, I don't know who's watching these videos, so I have to use discernment, and it's just between. I do have some other people that I talk to and seek advice from, but I don't know. Well, I might know you if you're watching this and I've met you before, but if I don't know you, I have to guess and assume. So I need to be wise with that because I don't know what may be a stumbling block for you. And we see this through a misuse of leadership portrayed by the government and members of the country that Kino visits after her confrontation with the sheep, where they find out that these sheep that were released into the herd after sheep fights had been made illegal were bred specifically for fights and had hated humans, which meant the sheep that despise humans when they could no longer be used for their intended purpose, while done with best intentions for the sheep of wanting them to just have a peaceful life, they've not assessed for the potential consequences which we see with the image of the skeleton of a previous traveler that had been killed because of the sheep. And we also see this illustrated in the episode by Kino's thoughts on killing, where it isn't until she makes this discovery about the other traveler that had been killed either by the sheep directly or through the lack of resources and being unable to be saved and be helped. But it isn't until then that she decides that she is willing to kill the sheep because she states in the episode that she does not want to kill the sheep unnecessarily. And the next talking point is for if anyone sees you who have knowledge eating in an idol's temple, will he not be encouraged if his conscience is weak to eat food offered to idols? Everything is lawful, but not everything is beneficial. Up until it was made illegal by the country's leaders, they were having sheep fights, which enabled people to make a business out of breeding these murderous sheep and training them and making them specifically for the purpose of having them be violent and aggressive in order to make bets on their fights. And it's not until, well, we don't actually see the government have to deal with the consequences of their action, really. We don't know what effect that had on people fairly recent to the, close to the time of it becoming illegal. But we do see that the sheep would go on to have murdered and been aggressive to a traveler that to the point where it led to his death, and that being the reason for the sheep's eventual death at the hand of Kino. And here is my last talking point. Quote, so by your knowledge, this weak person is destroyed, the brother for whom Christ died. This quote puts a great emphasis on the severity of what it means to be a stumbling block for another person. It is, though we may not be able to like enforce our will upon someone and make them fall away, we are setting someone up to sin and fall short of the glory of God. To give an illustration of this, it would be if two people were running to class and the one that is farther ahead, tripping the other person that was heading to class behind them. Though it may not be a problem for you, you need to be very careful of your actions because those who will look to you for guidance and that you will pour into spiritually look to you to be a godly example. And though there are things that you might know are okay, you shouldn't do those things if they're not okay for another person for the sake of their walk with Christ, for the sake of them not stumbling and falling away. And with that being said, I, besides the heavy topics and for more specific recommendations or not, I do highly recommend this episode. I think the show has good lessons and themes, but because of previous segments in previous videos, I understand if it possibly being a stumbling block to people to watch the episodes. But if you've made it this far, I hope you enjoyed these videos and There will not be a Spy X Family video this week. I'm taking a bit of a break on Friday. Um, so I will be back with more videos next week. So I will see you next Wednesday when we start covering the anime The Prince of Stride Alternative. And with that being said, may God be with you, and I will see you next time. Bye.